it wasn't until recently that I realized my experience working in a manufacturing facility would carry through my work. When I worked at a production plant, I was in sales still, but I also helped out in QA because I was an auditor before that. So they would call me whenever they needed assistance. And I would also spend a lot of time out on the production floor with the operators. And I got to know a lot of them, and some of them had really good ideas too on how to make production faster. I always remember we had a morning minutes meeting where everyone would go in. So it would be production, operations, QA, sales, and everyone had to go through even the night shift to see what they did overnight. And it was food and beverage. So everything was fresh cut to order, and it was kind of a lot, to take in every single morning. We had to give sales projections, what orders we thought we were going to get for the day. That way production could plan and get everything out the door to ship out that night. So it was very, very strict schedule. And when I moved into sales, where I was selling to these factories now, I knew how crazy it was internally, because I would also help out with some of the trucking and getting those guys out the door. And so I had my hands in a little bit of all of it, and it was always chaos almost every day. It was just, okay, this is the goal for the day. We got to get these products out the door. We got to fulfill our orders. So there was a high-paced, stressful, working environment. So when I moved to selling to manufacturing facilities, I had this deep understanding, and I remember being in that position and having to tell customers, hey, this product didn't come in, we have to swap it out, we have to do this, we have to do that. And so when I started selling and going to these manufacturing facilities, I had this deep understanding of kind of what they go through every day to get their products out the door. And as suppliers, sometimes I think you forget, or you just haven't worked in that position. So it's not really fair that you're coming in from the outside and all you know is that you have an amazing product, and that it can save them money, it can save them time, it can save them energy, it can save so many things. However, they're in this daily grind of getting their orders out the door for their customers, that if you don't take that into consideration, you're really not going to be successful. So you have to kind of put yourself in real life situations. When we would have something go down, it was like quick fix, make it work, and so we can get stuff out the door, or you're on plan B, making things work really fast. So as a supplier, when I would go in, I would see that they had to make some things work really fast, which means there would be duct tape on the machine or a zip tie. And, walking through, I would smile just because I remember being there on the other end. And I'm like, hey, you had to do what you had to do to make it work, and it's working. And a lot of times they would just, no, we're not going to touch it because it's working. It's fine. We're trying to get our products out the door. You really kind of have to be there or have that experience to know exactly what it feels like to have so many tight deadlines. Maintenance guys need to get their job done. They're always putting out fires. Always, always, always. They're so busy. The safety managers are trying to make sure they're not slowing down production but still meeting all the safety guidelines. Engineers are tasked with having products go out the door faster. The facilities manager needs to make sure everything's running smoothly and according to plan, and then you throw sales in the mix, and their customers, they were promised something from the same company, and if you're slowing down production, that's not getting out to the end customer. So it's not just changing out a part anymore. You need to be realistic and practical. Yes, there are shutdowns. You need to use that to your advantage, but also having something where they're like, we're not going to touch that duct tape because it's going to slow everything down a lot. And, they did what they had to do to make things work in a pinch, and it works. So it's what's the most important fire. If you're coming in and saying, I have this new component, but you're going to have to shut down the line and stop that, from the outside, it's like you're going to save so much money and you're going to be able to produce faster. However, they're in that daily task mode where they have trucks coming in, they have deliveries they need to make and ship out. So it's not so straightforward. I understand deeply where, all the different stakeholders are coming from, and I can put myself in those shoes because I've been there. And it's fun. I love it, but I think that's why I was also able to make certain connections whenever I'd walk into a plant. I could ask different questions, I think, than typical salespeople who haven't worked in a plant. I would ask them, okay, your morning minutes, like what didn't come in, what didn't make it. All these companies are so dependent on getting products in so they can get their products out. So I remember that. I mean, there was a crisis when I worked in food and beverage. Like, if the pineapples didn't come in, we had to change all the fruit bowls. Stuff wasn't going out. It literally caused chaos. And I remember talking to one of my friends. For me, today was chaos because the pineapple truck didn't make it here. It got stuck in traffic, or it was snowing, or the truck went down. The guy ran out of hours. It was so many things. Now it's fun. At the time, super stressful. I think we definitely have to keep that in perspective and make sure that when you're working with these manufacturers that you come from an understanding that they also have their own priorities and tasks while still having goals to make it more energy efficient, to speed up production. And you have to figure out how to marry those two, which it's not easy, but you can do it with the right perspective.